Okay, so here we have a question on moving averages and time related data. So it's about the number of days of work lost per quarter due to illness. So we've got some data broken up into quarter periods, and they've already drawn the original data on the graph and plotted some of the moving averages already. So the first question is asking us why should the company consider 4-point moving averages. Well, if we look at the original data, it's been split into quarters, so it's going in periods of 4. So basically for here we'd just be saying why should the company consider using 4-point moving averages. Data has been collected in 4 period blocks across each year. So something like that, just to show that it's been broken into 4 quarter blocks. If it had been split into, say, weekly blocks of 7 days a week, then you might have done a 7-point moving average. So it's about what periods have you been using. So say you've been using 4 periods, so 4-point moving average makes sense. It then asks us to calculate the remaining 4-point moving averages and plot them on the graph. So we can see so far that they've worked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the moving averages already. So we're looking at 4 points for each moving average. So those 4 points were the first moving average, and that's calculated in the middle there, in the median position. So we've got 4 points. Then we need to count down 6 places because I've already done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they've calculated that one, that one, that one, that one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the ones we need to calculate then. So that's in the middle of 4 points. So we're going to start with these 4 points here, and then when we've calculated that average, we're then going to move down 1 place because it's a moving average, and then calculate the next 4 values. So in sum terms, then we're going to have 180 plus 120 plus 232 plus 244. We need to remember that the moving average is about the mean average, so we calculate that. So we've got 180 plus 120 plus 232 plus 244 divide by 4, so 194. And then, like we said, we then move down 1 position, and we take the next set of numbers, which will go 120 plus 232 plus 244 plus 216, and again divide by 4, so 120 plus 232 plus 244 plus 216, always press equals before you do divide, so divide by 4 equals, so 203. And then we move down and we do the last 4 points. So we got 232 plus 244 plus 216 plus 124. Again, divide by 4. So we've got 232 plus 244 plus 216 plus 124, press equals, divide by 4. That seems a little bit low, so let's just check I haven't made any silly mistakes. So we've got 232 plus 244 plus 216 plus 124 equals, divide by 4 equals, yeah, so 204. Typed something wrong there, didn't seem right because those were in the 200s. Okay, so we've got 194, 203 and 204. It says then on the diagram, draw a trend line for the moving averages. Well, we've got to remember that we had to plot the 3 that we'd calculated, so if we go back to the graph and plot those. And again, what we've got to remember, isn't it, that whenever we've got a graph, we've got to work out the scale. So if we look up here, we can see that there's 5 little squares for every 20. So each little square is worth 4. So I have to plot 194. Now the 194 goes in the middle of the 4 days results used, so that's in between the fourth quarter and the first quarter. So we can see that they went across a period, so between the fourth quarter and the first quarter. So between the fourth quarter and the first quarter we come up and we've got 180, so 184, 188, 192, so 194 is going to be in the middle of that. And then the next one's at 203, so again we come across one period, so 203, there's 200, so 204, so it's just going to be slightly below there. And then we come across one more period and we've got to plot 204, so 204 is exactly on the line. Okay, so those are the moving average plot. The question said draw the trend line, so we get our ruler, and the trend line should follow the direction of the crosses, and ideally you should try and go through as many of the crosses as possible. So our trend line across the whole graph and beyond. So this trend line is showing a increasing trend, so we must remember again with moving averages, although it looks like a scatter graph in a sense, we shouldn't use the words correlation because it's about trends of moving time data. So here we've got an increasing trend. So let's have a look. So we've done that bit. It then says by calculating the mean seasonal effect for the first quarter, estimate the number of days likely to be lost in the first quarter of 2004. So again, this is the power of statistics. We've got some data, we've got a trend, we're going to use it to predict what's going to happen beyond our known data so far. So basically that's over a centimetre. So for the first quarter then, we do a dot centimetre over. That's where we're going to predict the 2004 data. So if we come straight up to our trend line and then we come across and read off, then we can see that our trend line is suggesting a value of around 208. So we need to estimate the seasonal variation for quarter 1. Now to estimate the seasonal variation, we take the actual data for that quarter and we subtract the trend line number. This trend line number is at 184. The actual data value for this first quarter it was 220. So 220 take away 184 is 36. So for our first quarter in 2001, our seasonal variation there was 1636. So now we need to do the first quarter in 2002 and then the first quarter in 2003. So again we go to our graph and we look at the difference between the actual value and the trend line value. So the trend line value, scale of 4 again, so 180, 184, 188, 192. So the actual value for the first quarter was 228. So we're going up from 192, so 8 to 200 plus the 28 makes 36. So our seasonal variation for quarter 1 in 2002 was 36 as well. And then we do the same thing for quarter 1 in 2003. So our trend line value is 200. Our actual value was 32. So the difference here is 32. So to get our mean seasonal effect, so the mean seasonal variation, and we're going to do 36 plus 36 plus 32 share by 3, so 36 plus 36 plus 32 share by 3, so to one decimal place 34.7. So our estimate then is going to be the trend line value for the first quarter in 2004. So we came up to the trend line and read across, and we suggest the value is going to be 208. So our estimate is going to be 208 plus the seasonal variation. Now it's plus because we were above the line for each of the quarters. Now if we'd have calculated the seasonal variation for quarter 4, then we can see we'll be going below the trend line. So that would mean we'd be doing a takeaway. So here we've got a plus because we're above the line, so we add on the 34.7. So our estimate for quarter 1 in 2004 will be 242.7. Okay, the trend line is for the number of days of work lost to increase. So the trend is, suggest a reason for this. Okay, so again this is about your real life understanding. So due to illness, employers scale engineering shown. The number of days lost is increasing. That's what the trend line is suggesting. So why might that happen? The trend line for the number of days of work lost suggests a reason for this. Well, a reasonable reason would be something like the company is grown in size. So company has grown in size because the proportion of the company being ill could remain constant, but the number of days lost could increase because you've got more employees. So that might be a reason for why. Okay, so that's moving averages, trend lines, and mean seasonal variation. So hopefully you found that useful.